standing in Eden. Poetry claimed me young on Skegness Beach. Before I was born, I answered her cry for a lost child, still in the womb, still as a sea wave journeying green upon green, swollen in my mother's side, lashed and tongue-tied on a raft of premonition, trying to survive my birth as the soul survives death, turned in on the high tide, watermarked as a bride to my beginning. In April rain, the banks were white narcissi, yellow daffodils in Chapeltown, alyssum at the foot of every tree, white bands round the bowls against the blackout, still after 50 years. In the copse at Chapeltown, the fences down, the undergrowth cleared, the bark exposed with scars like stars. I am grounded in Chapeltown, from dawn to dusk, curfewed by my body's husk. I dream of Swan Lake, car after car, swan after swan across the stage, the mad conductor's baton, raised, dying swans, flying from the wings, fading on the last chords in the hyaline air by the crystal river where we surrendered to its flow. In Roundhay's canal gardens go a pair of black swans, scarlet beak to scarlet beak, bend by the willow necks, arched like the great bow of Odysseus. Ithaca, I've returned. My Penelope lost, the tapestry of my journey torn, Troy long gone, a blind memory in Homer's song. I sing of where I was born, war-torn, blitzed, the iron railings stripped, the munitions factory at Benbow closed. There is a photograph in the archives of the City Museum marked Shed, Falmouth Place, 1937. It is your street, Margaret, the creosoted palings and cart turned on its end, the shafts raised like a memorial stone, our last memory gone. For fish and chips we went past the mansions, half a dozen enormous Victorian houses, abandoned to the poorest of the poor, with front steps missing, holes in the hall so big you had to jump, and rats the size of cats. The children who lived there pushed coal in broken prams. Their jerseys had more holes than wool. They had impetigo. We passed them quickly on the other side. In the chemist shop stood the huge retorts of red and green. In the coal fire glowed the burning fiery furnace. Against the vineyard wall, Margaret played ball, deftly lifting her leg, passing the ball beneath, catching it again in faultless rhythm. Behind the colonnade under the bridge, Margaret and I took off our clothes in wonder and swam in the crystal river. A patchwork quilt of mossed stones crossed beneath the bridge, light strobed, twilight enfolded us, our tent well hidden. We stood in Eden with the stars. Causey stones for packhorse roads, cut and stacked, have waited 200 years for the horse sledge to drag them over Todmorden and top. Untouched by hoof or foot, they are shaped and polished by the rain and wind. They are the north, and cannot be altered. The surfaces of change transient. The gloss cannot last. The wind says no. Item: one photograph of Southampton, taken by the city engineers, relating to a cycling accident June the 3rd, 1905. The grate that trapped the cyclist wheel is still in place, but nothing else except the vast brick wall dividing the road in two. A novelty then, the camera drew crowds from the bridge fields, a boy in an Eton collar, his bowler-hatted father, girls with braided curls dressed to their ankles, a delivery boy with a brimming basket, a man with a beer pail in either hand. The long exposure caught every movement in a single frame, the pensioner shuffling with his stick, the girl tying a ribbon in glowing sepia, a tiny kingdom swept away before I was born. Unnoticed and unwatched, we clambered over the remains of the bridge fields, gathering jam-jarfuls of dandelions, placing them with reverence by broken grates in Pompey's streets. One hot summer night, Terry boasted with 10-year-old knowingness that he'd fucked Mary, who was 6 but strangely experienced in sex. Both slipped away behind the hillocks of the hollows. He reappeared grinning. I put it up her, ask her if you don't believe me. Shyly Mary put down her head in passive acquiescence. Leaning over the wall, staring at the cables reeled on giant drums, I looked at Margaret, laying back, pillowing her head against a grassy mound, pulling clover leaves for luck, her eyes distantly dreaming, while I made up stories. We ran together holding hands, up and over, round and down, in front and behind the hills of the hollows, with the spirits of the children of the bridge fields, the boys in Eton collars, the girls in long white dresses with pails of milk. Even the hollows are gone now. The go-kart stadium, wire mesh set in concrete, placards round the concourse, the ready-mix factories, dumb towers, the DIY yard and beer paradise board, the street sign, Bridgewater Place, lying on its side. Wallflowers lost and faded, beige and sepia, orange and maroon, old-fashioned flowers for a tired mind. Millionaires of Leeds, you are your brother's keepers, finders keepers, losers weepers, Lloydis in Elmeet, Leeds upon Aire, the smell of molten air on a May morning puts the road back 40 years. The Bridgewaters and the Falmouths are scheduled for clearance. The word has gone out from the city fathers. In the council chamber to the city engineer, the last photograph ever has been taken by order, half the houses boarded up, half with chimneys smoking. Grass is growing between the cobbles, clotheslines are empty, the props have fallen, our mams raised up like a drawbridge for the coal carts to pass under. Beneath the city station, under the dark arches, the river rushes through the catacombs of vaulted stone. By the new museum, the weir is cold and clear, Haworth's timber yard's sawdust smells hang in the trembling currents of air. On Hunslet Road a heat haze, walk with a lighter tread, I hear an angel's heartbeat overhead. The wind holds my hand, diffident, tremulous. Margaret, I sense your fingers touching mine, tip to tip. Nancy came too, and I had to kiss the both of you on the cheek behind the wagon, wanting to get you alone on a slow boat to China, get you and keep you in my arms evermore. Auntie Nellie's hands thrummed the tunes on the black and white upright, sheet music from banks in County Arcade, gleaming in Bermontoff's faience tiles, marble and onyx. May blossoms hang in Mill Hill churchyard over the ultramarine signboard. In Trinity Church I share God with no one, Stained glass colours the silence. Margaret, Nancy and I had always played together when we went walking in Nostrop, climbing the ruined walls of Nostrop Hall. The other boys bored me with their talk of cricket, Len Hutton and Leeds United. I learned motherhood from Margaret. Margaret, I miss you, 40 years on, I kiss you. Margaret, there is a plantation east of Eden, with saplings and shrubs where the Falmouth and Bridgewater Place once stood. The council's Transpennine Trail begins by the Aire side, where we walked and talked and learned to love. In the Sunday stillness a chaffinch calls. Are you there? Are you there? Hurling its shape, sounds in ecstasy across the river from the haunted mill. I am here, I am waiting, replies the song shadow of my dream. I am part of the green, I am the answering voice, I am the parting in the cloud, I am the leaves of spring. Here is the last remnant of Hunslet's goods yard. The immovable buttresses in timber and stone, the bridge and the rails are gone, but still 7 arches stand like Rome's 7 hills. Nothing can shift them. There is no road behind the barbed wire. They are a shelter for memory and Margaret and me. The Hunslet haven heaven of our love to be. I taste the mist in the morning, utterly alone in this deserted ending. I am the loneliest man on earth, last and first, alpha and omega, beginning and end. Margaret, I will pluck you from the crowd. Together we will walk by the Aire again. I will never leave it. It is the only place on earth where I can breathe. Red-hot pokers still grow in the abandoned gardens of Nostrop. Lupin Valley will glow again with blossom. Late narcissi bend in the wind. In Golden Acre Park, no more the miniature railway, boating on the lake with motor launch or self-propelled boat. No more the water shoot, pitch and puff golf, Avery paddling pool, aeroflight, bathing pool, music tower, all are gone. The Winter Garden Dance Pavilion is gone from Golden Acre Park. Only the kingfisher's blue flash as it rides to its island hide where white swans glide. The house I was born in is long gone. Steel and concrete bones of a container base rise from the ruins. Wholesale markets straddle the fields of Snaky Lane. By the red road, by the black road, footpaths unwalked are decked with weeds. Factories for frozen foods and car batteries edge the silence. The piggeries no more than corrugations of rust and wood sigh in the ravening wind. A tethered horse is pawing the tired grass among the forklift trucks and oil-skinned scavengers. Over the hollows, weeds on filled-in cellars, cracked windowsills, at crazy angles a megalith.